Hello, everybody, and welcome to NINJAGOCast, episode 83. I'm Sensei Meso.
I'm Sakota.
I'm Josh.
I'm Bendo.
And the dojo is now open once again. How's everybody doing today?
Doing good.
Pretty
Pretty
good.
exciting.
I'm tired.
You're tired?
I've been at work all day. I had to get up at 6 a.m. I want to sleep. But I'm also excited to talk about some good old ninjas, or ninja singular, today. Ninja in training.
Yeah.
Let us know how we sound, everybody, as you're filtering in. See Krusty in the chat. Shout out. Hello. We already have hot takes in the chat.
Yeah,
much before we started.
We were joking before that it's already like the two polar opposite opinions in chat.
Yeah.
We will not tolerate Wildfire haters.
Phoenix said a spin-off of the most insufferable character in Dragon's Rising. No thanks, I'll pass. And then Ethan Maloney, happy that the GOAT is getting more recognition. So, where do we stand? Find out on today's episode of NINJAGOcast. Oh, it's been a minute. Glad to be back with some interesting news to talk about. Give everybody a minute to filter in as I give the usual round of ruminations and plugs. If you want to stay in touch and follow along with updates about our stuff, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/the TTV channel. For as low as $1 a month, you can join our Discord server, where we're usually active and chatting about Lego, even when we're not immediately posting videos. And I'd like to know your thoughts on this news. If you're watching live, give the video a like if you like it, and leave your thoughts in the chat. If you're watching this on demand, then please leave your thoughts in the comments section below. I'm really interested to get a pulse on how the community feels about this thing, because I feel this is a kind of a big deal for Ninjago, and I'm curious to know what's up and how well this is received.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That being said,
Can I release a personal plug or say a personal?
yeah, do it.
Of course,
Plug
yeah.
your stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
so,
your platform, Josh.
That's true. I'm drawing again.
Yeah.
After like 2 years. So I've been working on a series of splash art for all the Dragon's Rising characters. I'm posting them on Twitter. I just posted the first one today, which is Sora. Go check it out. And I'll be releasing them for the next 10 days or however many else I do. So, yeah.
But Josh, what's your Twitter?
Joshua D_17 or just Joshua Deck. You can find me there too.
Well, there you go. Has it really been 2 years?
Well, pretty much, yeah. I drew the last big thing I drew, which wasn't like a little sketch or something, was the Ultimate poster in 2022.
Yeah. Oh wow.
You did draw some stuff on art streams we did, but that's more like fast
Yeah, but
sketches.
I meant like not sketch stuff, like actual like full drawings and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so go check it out.
You're a legend. I'm glad you're drawing again. Thank you for letting us know. Okay. Today we have some very interesting stuff to talk about. Today, July 1st, 2024, LEGO has officially announced a Ninjago spin-off series.
I would call it a series, first of all.
I would. I'm setting expectations high.
Yeah.
I'm being a true content creator and misleading my audience.
Yeah. Okay, fair.
No, I'm being half joking.
They
It's a
kept
mini-series.
calling it a Ninjago storyline, which I think is a more accurate term.
It's a mini series of shorts.
Yes,
There you go.
part of it is.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to fully explain what it is. Sakota, you released an excellent news video that kind of truncated everything down into just about 10 minutes. Do you want to give people the Cliff Notes version of what this is?
I can do the Cliff Notes. So basically, there's a new mini storyline called Wildfire Return to the Wildness. It's like a multimedia project, so it's not just one thing, but it's a combination of different kinds of like media that tell one story. The main story will be told in a series of shorts, 4 shorts, and they call it a graphic novel in the Lego Life magazine. I'm not sure if that little comic that came out today is already all of that, but I think it might be. Then there's also going to be audio recordings, I think 8 of them. I might be forgetting the exact numbers right now. There's going to be like social media posts that are like made by, they call it NPC posts, so it's like Wildfire posting on the Lego Kids app. And there's going to be like some TikTok style, short social media style videos, and some like repurposed content from Dragon's Rising that like shows some of the best Wildfire moments to kind of like just get people familiar with the character. I think some of them are already out because they posted so many like Wildfire videos recently. And there's also like stickers on the Lego Life app and stuff like that. So a bunch of small stuff too that kind of ties into it. But overall, it's like a multimedia initiative to tell a little story about Wildfire that takes place between Dragon's Rising Season 2, Episode 10 and 11, and kind of deals with her, like, overcoming the grief from, like, losing Kai, and also her being in the wildness back where, like, the dragons she lived with come from, and she's kind of taking care of 3 baby dragons.
There you go. That is basically it. It's really interesting to see something like this. We've never really seen anything like this before. The fact that it's so many different forms of media, the fact that it's social media centered, the fact that it's all on like digital platforms and not through, Netflix or Cartoon Network,
I think part of the reason for that is, and they didn't say that, that's kind of me speculating, that they have the new Lego Insiders Club thing on the Lego website for kids, and I think this might be like a push to like kind of bring people to use that service. So that, because they said it's going to be exclusively on Lego Insider, so I don't think they're going to post the shorts on YouTube or anything like that. Mm-hmm. I'm sure some fans will probably do it, but yeah.
Oh, almost certainly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I guess a good place to start. Let's address something that people are noting in the chat right now. Uncertain whether Wildfire is voiced by her same voice actress.
Yeah.
That being, I want to give proper credit to the voice actress. I believe it's Kazumi Evans, right? Voice actress of Wildfire.
That sounds right, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, Ninjago Wiki, that's right. She was Wildfire. It did not sound like her. I'll tell you that much. Yeah. When I saw the trailer, I 100% did not think it was her. Now, not to like call him out or anything, but like Duck Bricks also released a video. Didn't he say that it is?
Okay, yeah. So I was at the same round table as Duck Bricks. I totally get why, and I almost did it myself. Because there was a part where they kind of explained the process behind things and stuff, and they talked about how much fun it was to work with the voice actor on the different media formats and stuff. And from in my head, that also made it sound like, oh yeah, they're of course talking about the TV show voice actress, but they didn't like say that. So it might be someone.
You think that's where he like got that from? It's not like he asked a question or has other knowledge that we don't. Or
I don't think. I mean, maybe he has some other knowledge, but I doubt it. And I almost like also said that in my video, but I ended up. Wait, I'm not actually sure if it's the TV show voice actress, so I'm just not gonna say anything about that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely did not sound like her. If we learn more info later. Yeah. Maybe it's possible it could just be like a directorial thing, but I really doubt it.
We did see the trailer, and now like listening to it again a couple of times, then it sounds definitely different than it does in Dragon's Rising, but it's very short. So during the round table where we could have asked questions, it might not have been like immediately clear or like
No, I get that. So we'll see. That's a big question mark. If it is not the same voice actress, bad. Don't like it. Not good. It is a side effect of a different studio. Yeah, there is a precedent for this.
Yeah.
Not to always drag it out, but like when Hero Factory switched animation studios in its last year, they like completely replaced every single voice actor. You know, I would imagine the voice actors for Ninjago are probably contractually tied to Wildbrain,
Mhm.
And they
Or
they
it's
must
just
work
like
with them.
sometimes it's also with like a different location when it's like
Yeah.
Canada based or LA based, for example. But yeah.
Totally possible. I'm sure there's all sorts of production reasons. But I'm not a fan. No disrespect to whoever's voicing her. I'm sure she'll do fine, but like it creates a bit of a tonal disconnect, especially with the different art style. Kind of makes it difficult to jive with it fully. But who knows? We'll have to see how it goes.
Mono says it could also be budget related.
Yeah, it could totally.
Maybe.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah,
Impossible to tell. We'll probably never know.
It's just jarring when there's like an inconsistency like that, especially when this is supposed to be so tied to the canon. But you know, it is what it is. I will say I do enjoy that they are going with a different studio to animate it
for the art style.
because yeah, like the art style is really appealing. But not only that, I'm just reassured that Lego is still going out and finding other studios to work with.
Yeah,
Since
after the
they've
recent
been-
like
Yeah, with
Consolidation.
Monkey Kid and even with Dreams, like them just using Wildbrain for like everything. It's just refreshing to be like, okay, here's something by somebody else.
No,
Yeah.
that's totally
And,
true.
it gives it some more character to it, and it's just very reassuring.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, I wouldn't like. I think the art style looks really good. I wouldn't want this like to be the art style for the show or something like that.
No.
But I think it's overall cool that we have a different art style for a different project.
Yeah,
here.
it sets it apart, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
It reminds me of the Legacy shorts. where
Yes.
It's just like a different
Yeah,
art style. It reminds me mostly of the one with Reflectra.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That one was
Shaded.
Wildbrain.
oh, yeah, but it's got the same like.
I just feel like the
cell
same kind of
shading.
Yeah.
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 It reminded me of the Hidden Side shorts.
True.
But
I could see
So,
that.
probably not the same studio, but it was kind of a similar vibe.
Yeah.
I
will
guess here's
say-
how. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I will say it overall. I feel like a big part of the style is because it is probably cheaper to do.
Oh,
But,
of course.
Probably.
I do appreciate it, and I just hope like Lego, please, like work with other animation studios again because it's so cool when they do that.
Yeah, it helps like give it some life, you know,
Yeah,
make it
So
stand
if
out a
they-
little bit.
If they do this with other characters, I hope they go to different studios for different ones.
Here's
maybe
how I
just something in
kind of
2D.
want to. Sorry, I cut you off. 2D is cool.
Yeah,
I always love 2D. I will like the more 2D, the better. Genuinely
a
speaking.
2D Ninjago like spinoff like this would be really cool, even if it's just like a few shorts.
Yeah. Yes, Dakota.
Can I address a comment real quick?
By all means.
Green Ninja 248 says, I love the idea of this project, but I feel like they made it a little too confusing to find all the different parts of it. I was kind of concerned about that too in the round table. And I asked them if there's like an in-universe timeline or some like order in which you're supposed to watch all of this. Because I was thinking like, okay, this could end up very confusing very fast with all like the social media videos and the different voice notes. And they said that once it's all up, it should be very clear on the website, like what's the correct order. But also you should be able to watch it out of order and it still kind of makes sense. So I hope that's not gonna be the case. They kind of said it probably won't be. So I hope that's true.
Yeah, I'm sure fans will find a way to like compile everything together
Yeah.
in a way that's easier.
And
to...
they said there is like a correct structured order, and they thought about structuring it in like days on the website, and I think they probably still gonna do that, but don't want to guarantee that. But yeah, so I hope that's gonna be the case, so you have like a way to like consume it all in order.
I'll tell you what, I'm kind of stealing your thunder a little bit. You mentioned this to me in private, but kind of reminds me of like how Bionicle did things near the end. Specifically, Gali Nuva's blog, or
Yeah.
like Talk Nuva's blog, or like stuff like that. Bionicle reached a point where the main story was being conveyed in books, but there were also movies, there were also like mini animations, there were online serialized like chapters of a story, and then there were like blog posts by the characters that were
Yeah.
like canon, and
I
you had to
mentioned
somehow piece all that together into a timeline.
I mentioned it to Meso, and I also quickly mentioned it in the news video. Kind of reminded me of the Toa Nuva blog because it's like an in-universe kind of like told by a character story, and that's like online only, and it's kind of like gives you a bit of an insight in how they feel about what's going on in the story. But yeah, I mean that's of course a bit different still, no shorts or anything like that. But yeah, kind of reminded me of that.
Here's how I kind of want to like break this down. I have like two big kind of points to make, and one is like broadly speaking the idea, the concept, and then the second is more granular, nitpicky stuff, as is my custom. But like to start, it's more just like if we're just talking the idea, I really, really, really like this.
Yeah.
I love this. I think this is cool. I think it's cool that they're trying new things. I think it's cool that they're just deviating at all, especially with visual media. We've done shorts, we've done comics, we've done graphic novels. Now we're doing this kind of thing. It keeps it fresh, keeps it moving, keeps it fun. Additionally, I really like the theming. I really like what they're telling a story about. This is perhaps the thing I want to stress the most. I really like that they're telling a story about grief. I think that's good. I think that is very, very good. And they're putting a lot of care into making sure that it's being told like well, and that it has teachings and like advice that are like applicable for kids to learn lessons about like dealing with grief. Like that's good. That's good to me. All of that is like A plus 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 plus. I've long since said Ninjago should do stories, you know, about like death, about like loss, about stuff, just because it's good storytelling. Obviously, Kai's not dead. We literally know that. So I don't even consider it a death bait because in the same episode, they showed he was fine. So they're not baiting his death. They're just having a character work through the emotions of what losing somebody they care about could be like. And I think that's good. What do you guys think? Do you agree, disagree?
I'm a fan. I've seen the sentiment a bit, and I kind of echo it a tiny bit. It's just when you have something that's like this interesting, it does feel a little weird to have it here and not in the show. But at the same time, I understand why, because you know the show has so much to juggle as it is. I hope this doesn't detract too much away, like from what they end up doing in the show as well. Like I hope Wildfire still has some semblance of that in the series itself. But I do think having this kind of branching off path to tell that story is also just like a nice way to do it. I just hope there's a healthy balance between the two, so that like you don't feel like you're missing out if you don't end up seeing this. But in terms of like messaging and stuff, like Dragon's Rising in general has already done such a good job with its messaging and tackling different themes, and it's already obvious to me that they have a big grasp and have been doing a lot of research into the topics that they try to cover with their messages. And this, I hope, will just continue to be another example of that. And from what Sakoto mentioned in the video, or his video talking about it, it seems like they're doing research into that kind of stuff and making sure they get the message across in a good way. So
yeah,
that's what I like.
I was gonna say, it if done poorly, it could remind like me of how they handled Zane. How they kind of had like a really big important character moment for him happen in a book, and then just kind of ignore that like in the main show. But I also have faith that that these writers like will like be able to do it a lot better than that.
Yeah.
So I have higher hopes for this.
2 points. Like one thing about like the emotional message and like dealing with grief. I was really happy how they answered some of the questions in the roundtable, because they explained like they worked with like social and emotional learning experts and like child psychologists in a way that they like have like a topic like that but portrayed in a way that kids understand it and learn something from it. And I always think something like that, it's really good when like Ninjago can be educational in that way for the younger audience. And we already got the magazine today, the Lego Life magazine. And there's like, after the actual comic, there's like this little, I guess, game thing that says like, what exactly did it say? It's like Wildfire, how to deal with your emotions, and like it's for kids to fill out like, when have I ever been sad and how would I deal with that and stuff like that. So I think there's definitely some educational stuff there and how to deal with emotions for kids, and I think that's really cool to tie it into the character journey that way. The second part about like being worried about not seeing that development in the show, I'm actually also a bit worried about that.
Yeah, that was gonna be my second part. Is all
Yeah.
about that. We may as well talk about it now. Like, that's a concern, and
So-
I mean, it's not even a concern as far as I'm concerned. But I just know, like, label me pessimistic. I just know we're not gonna see it in the show.
I
Like,
think-
I would bet money.
So the way they explained it in the round table, like just from the order of things, they first gave us like the setting of like, okay, this is where Wildfire is at episode 10, and this is how we see her again in episode 11, and this is like the story from how we got from A to B, basically. And I don't know, for me, just like speculating here right now, that's not something they said or anything. Kind of felt like they had this kind of shift in Wildfire, and she's a bit different in episode 11, and they kind of like used this to explain why, basically. So I don't think we're gonna see that transition in the show.
I agree.
They said
And
that
why?
she's gonna be like in episode 11, which is, I guess, a mini spoiler. She's gonna be like very motivated to train and very like, she's like more focused, I guess. And I guess you could like say, okay, there's some time passage between 10 and 11, and like even without knowing the exact journey, you could kind of assume that like the loss of Kai made her like, okay, I have to be more responsible now. But yeah, it might have been cool to see that in the show too, like the progression, I guess.
Yeah.
I certainly agree. I think that it's always a problem when important stuff gets shoved into secondary media. The issue, though, is how do you walk the line? And this is where I kind of have some sympathy, because it's like, well, we want them to expand into other forms of media, but if it's anything too important, then we wish it had been in the show. But then if it's not super important, then people complain that it's like filler, or it's non-canon, or it's unimportant. So it's like, where do you draw the line? Like the Ninjago had how many books or like comics full of just random stories that jerks like me completely hand wave because they're not canon and have never cared to read them. And then like we had a really good book that dealt with Zane feeling guilt about the Ice Emperor, and it was really good, and I thought it was written very well, and it was really cool. You know, Search for the Lost Powers. But it was irritating because everybody wanted that to be in the show.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because Tommy Kalmar was in the round table, and he mentioned exactly like people said about Quest for the Lost Powers that should have been in the show, so they are aware of that opinion in the fandom. But he is like, sometimes we have opportunities, and if we get an opportunity to tell a story that we couldn't in the show, we take it, basically, is their mindset. And I think that makes perfect sense. I think if this wouldn't exist, we still wouldn't get that journey in the show. You know what I mean?
That's it. That's completely it. Because I don't hold Search for the Lost Powers, like I don't hold that responsible for the show not tackling the Ice Emperor. That's squarely with like the 11-minute episode era. The book did very well, and I don't think it should be judged on for the crimes of a completely other medium. And I would say the same is true for this. If this comes out and Dragons Rising doesn't at all tackle Wildfire stuff, that's a problem with Dragons Rising. Yeah. That's a flaw with Dragons Rising, not this. At least with this, unlike the Ice Emperor, at least this is coming out first. So it's intrinsically better.
I will say, I think, like, how do I explain it? I do think it's like a situation where, would it be nice to be in the show? Yes, but also if they can't have it in the show, it's a great story that should be told. It's a great story that can be told without like confusing people who don't read it when it's like not happening in the show necessarily. And they made it pretty clear that you can just watch the show and not this, and you still completely get part 2 of Dragon's Rising Season 2, which I think is the right approach. And they kind of teased there's one change in Wildfire in the show that will be explained in this, and I kind of assume it's the design change, like her new outfit. But that's just my assumption, but I think that would make sense.
Highly likely. So that's really all I'm getting at. I sympathize with the people who are feeling that way about it. I agree, but I just say let's try to keep it in perspective. There has been a chorus for years for Ninjago to push into expanded media, and as much as a lot of us, I think, would like for it to be prequel stuff, like, oh, give me like a Serpentine War story or like an Elemental Master story or like stories with their parents, that's probably not going to happen.
I mean, we're literally going to talk about that later in today's episode.
That's probably not going to happen unless it involves a recognizable, marketable character. That's the caveat you get. Otherwise... Yeah. A lot of our spin-off potential is probably still going to be with the characters we know because they're making toys of them, they're making products of them, they can market them. So let's try not to like hold it unfairly against this media. Just give it a chance. Also, a lot of people are kind of annoyed that it's for a younger audience. I'm not one of those people. I think that's good. I think that's really good.
So... I don't, like, from what they told us, it's not really for a younger audience. So, because I asked them specifically, like, what's the target demographic for this? Because I was like, okay, this is on Lego Kids, so I kind of assume it's for a younger audience, but it also has, like, a pretty mature background topic. And the reply they gave is, like, there are lighthearted moments more for younger audiences, specifically with, like, the baby dragon stuff. But they said, like, especially the audio recordings and stuff like that are a bit more introspective. So they would say it's about the same tone than the normal show, and it's the same writers. So I wouldn't necessarily... Like, I think the presentation is a bit for younger audiences and the Lego magazine stuff, and probably the
That's
social
more
media
what I was getting
stuff.
At.
Yeah.
Because I felt this way about Dreams, too, when people were criticizing Dreams and still are about it being how it is. Don't get me wrong, Dreams has issues, but I don't feel like Lego as a, I don't know what you would call it, property, company, like franchise. There's enough room under Lego's banner for tones and age demographics of all sorts. Mm-hmm. As much as I would love for every theme to have like rich lore like Bionicle or last for like 12 years and have amazing show and a theatrical movie like Ninjago, there's room enough. I think it's important to recognize people of all ages like Lego and different things appeal to different people. I don't think it hurts to have a show like Dreams exist in Lego's portfolio. I don't think it hurts to have a short series like this exist. It's cool. It doesn't detract from Ninjago proper. So I am a 100% Wildfire spin-off hype. I'm in.
Yeah.
Even if it's like mid, I'm still happy it exists.
I mean, at first I want to see what the story is and stuff. So I wouldn't say like it's gonna be great no matter what. But I like the idea.
I like that they're taking a risk.
Yeah.
Do more. Take risks. Go nuts.
2 comments real quick. Green Ninja 248. Okay, another concern I had was the future preservation of the series, considering it sounds like it will be exclusive to a Lego social media, but I have a feeling the fans will take care of that. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a case where like I'm sure the fans are gonna catalog things, especially like stuff like the social media posts are probably gonna be very hard to find in like a couple of years on official channels. So I hope it's all gonna be cataloged well on the wiki and stuff.
I worry about that stuff all the time.
Yeah. And Davo says, now that you mention it, I really hope these shorts and blogs stick the landing with the theming, because all of this seems a bit towards the younger audience. But it's also a story about grief, so yeah. I think the social media stuff might be a bit very like younger audience, but I think like the one thing I'm really excited for is the voice notes.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring that up actually.
Yeah, because they explained it's kind of like voice memos that Wildfire records addressed towards Kai.
I find it fascinating.
Yeah,
how they're using these different things to give different perspectives. Like how the shorts are kind of from like an outside perspective, seeing in, but then like the voice memos are more like she's like talking to Kai, so they're gonna be more introspective. And it's like I love that idea because you're getting all these different glimpses of the character, and Wildfire is a character that I feel like is important to do that with, because she, a lot of how she acts is how she wants to be perceived by other people, and I think it's interesting to dive into that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Use that to kind of convey the message.
I think that's
like a really cool thing.
They in the roundtable they spend a lot of time like talking about that part, like why they did this multimedia approach, and like just in general, Tommy Kalmar had like a whole like part where he explained like how he sees Ninjago as this like multimedia franchise with like books, games, comics, and all that, like tying together into like one lore and timeline. So I'm really happy that they see it that way and treat Ninjago that way. And they like, I think they made it like when I first heard about this, I just expected some shorts. But when I heard about the multimedia approach, I think they made a pretty good case like why they chose to do it that way. Basically.
Yeah.
We need a new Ninjago game. It's been long enough.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun.
Ninjago fighting game is like my biggest dream ever.
Agreed.
Make it happen.
It'd be so good.
This is the perfect time to release it too with the with part 2.
Yeah.
Prime Empire would have been the perfect time for a Ninjago game.
Yeah,
too.
That is true.
I kind of wish they just didn't do a season for that and just a game.
Just made it a game.
Yeah.
Would have been perfect.
It would either be extremely underwhelming or like really fantastic.
Yeah, ultimately, like, if I know there's some people in the community I've seen today on Twitter who are like trying to kind of reconcile the tonal dissonance in their eyes of like looks very like lighthearted or silly, but it's about grief. Just remember, like, and this is kind of the point, the pretext behind this thing's existence. Kids can feel these things too.
Yeah.
Edgy, like 16-year-olds or like 20-plus-year-olds or even like 12, 13-year-olds. They aren't the only people who can feel sad. They aren't the only people who can have loss happen. And people of all ages process things differently and in different ways.
I mean,
and I think not to go super preachy, but like people learn morals and life lessons and ways of looking at the world through cartoons. They can be like fundamental things that instill like attitudes from a young age. So like it's good. It's good to do this kind of stuff. As much as we sometimes might groan if a moral's like particularly heavy-handed, it's still good to weave them in.
And it's
just
also
good storytelling.
It might be heavy-handed for like us like 20-year-olds, but for a kid who hasn't consumed as much media as we have, it might not be as heavy-handed. Yeah,
like this isn't for us. This is something that I think kids are gonna get a lot out of it, and I think that's fine. And I think it's especially funny considering the fact that it is Ninjago we're talking about at the end of the day. Like,
yeah,
the entire concept of this show has tonal dissonance, and especially with Dragons Rising, like. We're watching like a Lego show about these characters that take their flaws and their struggles very seriously, and that's what's special about it to me. And this is just like another example of why I think that's so effective.
Krusty mentions, I feel like the philosophy of universal themes across age groups from the Dragons Rising Season 2 Variety article is really their guiding star here. I do remember exactly what you're talking about. If you wouldn't mind finding the exact quote, I would appreciate it. But I know exactly what you mean. And Yeah, that is definitely true. They're trying to write in such a
Yeah.
way to where like the themes of the story are applicable like all across the range of ages and emotions. And
Like
yeah.
Lloyd's story in Dragon's Rising season 2 so far has been like applicable to me. Like it's working. It's working. They're doing stuff that works for everyone. So
Binda, when were you going to tell me about your visions and his bionicle G3 and one of them?
it's they're often, man. The
I need to see Bionicle G3 in a vision of yours. But I had a funny. Okay,
it's just a possible future.
And I need to tell a random tangent real fast, just because I don't know when we'll have this opportunity on a podcast again. I had a dream the other day when I was on a trip with Mary. I had a dream that in the dream we were told by Lego, they were like, "Hey," they sent it out to like all people in the land. They're like, "Hey, we just want to let you know, just in case you see it leak elsewhere. We had a Bionicle reboot in the works, but we've decided not to launch it because of production reasons or yada yada yada. Sorry for the inconvenience." And like, it had been canceled before it was even announced.
That is the worst.
Some people have fun Bionicle dreams. These are my Bionicle dreams.
It's not a Bionicle dream. That's a Bionicle nightmare.
My visions are of Monkey Kid season 5 being Flying Bark.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Those are my visions.
Anyway, that's my tangent over.
Krusty posted the quote. You can go through grief and disappointment and confusion about where your life is going, even when you're 8 years old. Those are universal themes, as a tape.
There you go.
I think that seems like it very much applies to this. Yeah.
And it's not like Ninjago hasn't dealt with like personal struggles before, especially in like the Will film era, like the individual character driven seasons. But like that's the kind of stuff I like. I'm not as invested in Ninjago when it's like the prophecies or like the ancient scrolls of random stuff. Like I'm invested in the personal like character drama.
Yeah.
And I'm fine if it works in tandem with each other, but one without the other is hollow. So it's nice to kind of dial it back.
The fact that it's so character focused is really good. Because
Aaron is sad that he can't do things. Sora's lying to him. Lloyd is stressed. Like these are good. They're simple, but they're good. They work.
Yeah.
And branching that out to like when they have so much of that going on in the actual show, allowing Wildfire to have her own thing here that's like hyper focused on sending this message and reaching this goal, I think is really, really cool to see.
All right.
So yeah.
Well, when is it coming out, Sakota?
Okay, so I put in my video, I said by July 17th.
By July?
Yes, because they told us. So I saw Doc Brick's video. He chose like not to name a release date at all, and maybe that would have been smarter. But they told us it should all be out by July 17th. There have been some delays because of some translation stuff, I think. So it will most likely be sooner. Maybe it's going to be later if there's going to be more delays, but probably sometime this month, I would assume, is fair to say.
It'll just drop randomly.
I mean, the comic's already out today.
Yeah.
The trailer's out today, so yeah.
Well, fair enough. We shall see.
Two more.
The Wildfire takeover has already begun.
Yeah. 2 more things about this. One point I also saw on Twitter were like people saying they shouldn't do any canon stories that are not the TV show. And I feel like I totally disagree with that. Yeah.
That's what I was just saying a while ago. People want their cake and eat it too. Like, come on. Ninjago did non-canon side stories for like the first 10 years. How many people talk about them?
Okay, so first of all, at the time we didn't know if they're canon or not. But also, I think like my rule would be if you get the show without the side stories, it's not a problem, and it's even better if they're canon. Because I feel like if there's a bunch of non-canon side stories, it's even more confusing because then you have to go into what's canon and what isn't. I wish everything was canon.
Yeah,
As long as I can watch the show
Yeah, as
and
long as I
not
can
feel
watch the
lost
show without being
and
lost.
feel like I'm getting the full experience, and like this stuff is like an add-on that
Yeah.
I feel like, oh, this enhances my knowledge of this, or this makes me more appreciative of this aspect.
I
Like
do not
how I
mean
hope
this
Shatter Spin will
of
be,
any,
and how I hope
of
this will
any
be.
no disrespect meant. I love Greg Farshty. He's an immensely talented author. But I feel like because the stories he wrote for Ninjago, with the exception of Dark Island, are all non-canon, how much legacy have they left, really? How many people talk about them?
Phantom
How many
Ninja's
people
sick.
remember the events of Volume 8, Destiny of Doom? Can anyone tell me one thing that happens in that?
Which one's
Apparently,
Destiny
we
of
get a
Doom?
flashback of Garmadon recounting forging the Doomsday weapon in the underworld alongside Semukai, and we get a whole thing about like a Doomsday weapon.
Okay, but
Apparently, that happened.
some of the comics are really good, and I wish they had more impact. And
Make no mistake, I'm not saying that. I haven't read them. I love the concept of like Salil. People talk about her all the time. She's great. Phantom Ninja. I'm sure there's good ideas. My point
she's
is,
even in one of the
who-
sets, so I feel like there's
My-
some impact there.
my point is, does anyone like know about this stuff? Does anyone remember any of this stuff? So Salil's the anomaly, I feel.
Yeah, she's
Other
probably
than
the most
that,
famous
like-
character.
And there were a lot. There were 11 volumes in that series, not even counting the actual books.
Yeah, there's probably
Not even
more.
counting like Tommy Andresen's stories, like Way of the Departed, the other one, like
Yeah,
but like with the exception of precious few people, and obviously they get mentioned occasionally and like haha funny, but like the more cynical among us don't care.
I'll say like outside of the online community, probably like very few people care. Especially like in the online community, you'll find people who know all those comics and books and reference them in like lore discussions and stuff too. But yeah, I mean the kids who Ninjago is actually made for, they probably have no idea about any books or comics that came out like 13 years ago.
And that's because
I mean,
their
that's
legacy and their notoriety is minimized by the fact that when you engage with the fan community, no one tells you, oh yeah, you got to go check these out because they're so cool. Most people ignore them.
No, but the point I want to make about this specifically is I think the same applies probably for some canon stuff. Like the Harumi book that only
Spinjitzu
came out in
Brothers.
Europe, or Spinjitzu Brothers, probably also doesn't have a lot of notoriety despite it being canon, and it's just because you can't just
It
watch
has
the show
more.
without knowing anything about it.
It's a sliding scale, though. They have more notoriety than their contemporaries. More people
okay.
want to talk about them.
I would not say, for example, that the Harumi book has more notoriety than Shadow of Ronin. And Shadow of Ronin is non-canon, the Harumi book is canon. So I don't think it's about canonicity necessarily.
If Ronan didn't appear in the show and create the weird, like, microcosm of his existence, nobody would care about Shadow of Ronan either.
Well, I think it's
That's
also
my-
because it's visual media.
I think Shadow of Ronin's a weird thing because, like, Shadow of Ronin, I think most of its appeal is just the fact that it's like a Ninjago
game.
game that's like a traditional Lego game, and that doesn't
But-
exist anywhere else.
Okay, different example, Golden Legend. Non-canon, just a short.
Yeah,
Doesn't tie
love
into
the
the
big
show
one.
really at all. But I feel like it has left a bigger impact
think-
than a lot of the canon books.
It
I
also
feel like
has,
it's a
the
more
loose-
complicated case of like
I think it's also
How-
a thing of visual media versus like written, because a lot of more
Yeah.
people are gonna watch something than read a book.
All I'm saying is, unless there's a really creative idea that you want to tell that's just so radically different to where it would necessitate being in like an alternate universe or something.
Yeah.
I'm talking that radical. Always make your supplemental material canon.
Yeah, if you
Always.
can.
Yeah.
Always.
Always. Otherwise, it doesn't make it worthless because its writing can still hold up. There's still production elements that can still hold up on its own merits, but it immediately like cripples its notoriety. Now, Krusty does point out canon stories should exist, but they shouldn't take away from the TV show.
Yeah,
Pre 343 Halo is a great example of this being done right. Yes, the modern era of the Halo franchise, for instance, they went way too crazy with supplemental material to the point where it was a crutch and it actually hurt the main material. And that's what I think people are afraid of happening. It's a slippery slope. There is a balance.
I also think a lot of people bring up the Bionicle complications in this. And I don't necessarily think the problem with Bionicle was that the side stories were canon and there was a lot of them. I think the problem was more that how important they were for the overall plot, and there wasn't like a consistent through line for like the main story necessarily. Like some of the set characters only showed up in side stories. Then there was the whole thing about like flashback years and all that. So I feel like it's not as simple as, oh, Bionicle had a lot of canon side stories, we shouldn't do canon side stories because it gets
There were
confusing.
2 issues with Bionicle that I feel make it an anomaly. Number 1, all of its side stories were free. Not all of them. All the story serials were free. They were on the website. There was no barrier to entry. So even if it's complex, they're accessible. And number 2, I've never tested this. I kind of want someone to, just for kicks. When you go through it, Bindo, maybe you could be our test
I'll be the
subject.
guinea pig.
I want you to read the story without the story serials. I think it would make sense.
Yeah.
Because I don't think
there's
you're
some
not.
stuff that
I don't
might
think
not.
there's any. I don't think there's maybe one serial character who appears in a main book.
And some of
It's
Takanua's
Artaka.
changes.
I think they do a decent job of explaining what happens without you needing to read them. But that might be wrong. We'll see one day.
That'd be an interesting experiment for sure.
Like, just do the books. Movies and books. That's it.
Were the books ever available at the time, like online?
No, unfortunately.
I feel like that's
the
the bigger problem probably with Bionicle at the time. Because like if the books came out 4 years ago, you can only like get them on eBay or like in a library or something like that. With Ninjago, you just go on Netflix and watch all the old episodes.
This is true.
Yeah.
Ninjago will always have just the one like through line of just the show, even if it's technically split into 3 different shows.
Yeah.
It's still like a very followable episode by episode, thing. And I don't think any of those stuff is going to take away from that. And also, like, another thing to consider is like just because they're doing this one thing and they're trying it out, this might just be like an experiment. Who knows? Maybe it doesn't go well. Who knows? Maybe it does really well. We have no idea. So it's like, I wouldn't expect, okay, we're getting one of these like every few months, and like every character's getting a short series, and we're gonna get all this other stuff, and they're gonna like introduce important characters through these. Like, I don't think we have to worry about that. I don't think it's gonna spread that quickly.
Yeah, I don't
assuming
think
this even takes off the way they're hoping.
I don't think it will ever be really the case where you don't get the TV show because of the side stories. Like, at least they seem very aware of that. Yeah. I think the
Like,
closest
if
we
they
ever got was Dark Island on the mural.
If they continue their mindset that they have with this Wildfire installment, and they don't deviate from that too much, and they're like, okay, this is what the goal of it is. It's to tell this message and to have this character arc that maybe we didn't have time for, but wasn't completely necessary to the story we're trying to tell in the main series. Then it's fine. Like, it's nothing but a good thing in my opinion.
All right.
Josh,
do you have any other thoughts? Oh.
Not really.
I wanted to ask what you guys think about like the setting of the story with like going back to the Wyldness and the baby dragons and the dragon tribe and stuff like that.
Cool. I like the big anaconda.
Yeah.
Do we know if it's an anaconda?
I mean, it's a big purple snake.
It looks like Klaus's like big anaconda. Which
it would really be cool if they explained that it's from Wyldness.
That would be wild.
Wild.
Yeah, that's all I got for now. Let's just let's wait and see. But I'm interested.
All right.
But we have more.
Yes.
We have more supplemental material. I believe we have some Shatter Spin previews because Shatter Spin keeps getting delayed, and I was getting worried about it. I'm not gonna lie, I was
Same.
starting to like panic a bit, but it seems to be fine. Like we got some previews, and it exists. It's not vaporware.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we may be like 2 months out from when it was supposed to initially release, but we got news on it. So
how many do we have? Like how much is this preview?
It's like 4 pages
yeah, 4 pages,
and 2
I
like
think I read it
covers.
all.
Yeah.
which is pretty
just wanna-
substantial considering like an issue is like how many pages is usually?
Yeah. I don't
One
know.
issue, like
But we
I
always
forget.
got
It's been too long
the
since
we
I
always
read
got previews for
Garmadon.
the Garmadon comic issues, but I don't think we ever got 4 pages.
Yeah, like this is kind of
Yeah, like literally the entire
A lot.
premise of the comic was released.
Yeah, but I think that's good to catch people. Like, okay, this what's
Yeah,
this
you know,
gonna be
I'm not
about?
complaining. I'm saying that that's a lot of information.
Yeah.
yeah.
Normally they don't do that.
I do think it'll kind of make the initial issue release kind of a bit less exciting because we kind of
Probably.
know quite a bit, but it's the first issue. I'm sure the other ones are going to be more interesting anyway.
So mild spoilers.
Yep.
If you don't want to see or discuss these previews, I mean,
I'll move
What?
them off screen real quick again.
oh no, you're fine. You're fine. I'm just giving people like a warning. Like,
Yeah.
we're basically done talking about Wildfire. So, if you do not care about Shatter Spin or you don't want to be spoiled about it, you might just want to dip out now. But thank you for watching. The rest of the episode's probably going to be about this. Yeah. Why would Chin give him this?
Because he's just that awesome.
Because he's
What does he have to gain?
I mean,
Like,
Chen.
he's playing both sides so that he comes out on top.
Yes. Also, Chen was kind of always pushing Garmadon to lean more towards his like evil side, I guess, right? And Shatter Spin is like a technique that shatters your goodness, so kind of
How
would
can we
make
forget?
sense to lead him to use it, I guess.
My first thought was, why wouldn't Chin
Use
go
it?
get it?
He'll do it himself.
Well, okay, so Chen is not an elemental master. Garmadon technically is neither, but I guess first Fujitsu family counts.
Yeah.
So
So
he
weird.
wouldn't be able to do Shatter Spin, right?
That's reasonable, I suppose.
I mean, like we know this doesn't end up working, right? Because it's implied in
Probably
Dragon's Rising that they have not come back since.
Oh, I mean,
We
they
gotta
were-
see that.
He's not trying to
Uh,
bring back the Forbidden Five, right? He's just trying to get into the dojo and learn Shatter Spin.
Yeah, that is true. He is just trying to learn Shatter Spin.
And
Also,
speak-
Chen
Yeah, go.
wouldn't be able to open up the dojo because it
Okay.
requires a Source
So,
Dragon.
about that, that was like, I criticized that last time we talked about Shatter Spin. I was like, okay, so how is this gonna work? Right, the dojo was closed for since Rontu and Eagle closed it, and it's closed with Source Dragon energy, and the series is called Shatter Spin. So how is Garmadon gonna learn Shatter Spin? And Doc recently replied to a tweet who was kind of asking the same thing. Should I just read it out real quick?
I know it. I've seen this.
Hey, Doc, why did Rontu and Eagle say the Wolf Dojo was sealed up centuries ago with Source energy, yet it was used during the Serpentine War around 40 years ago during the events of Shatter Spin? Does the comic break canon? Doc White said Rontu and Eagle don't know everything that's ever happened when they weren't looking. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but it's kind of like
yeah.
odd. A bit.
It's funny, like, because I feel like in most cases, I think the audience kind of like what the audience knows, they assume that like everybody else knows. So like, the fact that Garmadon, or the fact that at some point the dojo may have been unsealed,
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily break canon because like the audience would assume that because they know that Rontu and Egalt would have known that, but that's
Yeah, it's also a
characters-
situation
characters
where
didn't-
whenever there's lore set up, you kind of just believe the characters telling you the lore know what they're talking
yeah, exactly.
about. But
That's
like, how
what it
would
is
they
for me.
know that it was open?
Yeah, like
It's
characters
fair.
don't necessarily like not tell the truth or like not know everything
Yeah,
that's
but it
happening.
does feel a bit
Well,
like retconny,
no,
or like it wasn't
It's
planned.
not
that
a
way.
it's not a plot hole. It does feel clumsy.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's like a huge deal.
no, it's not.
I just think the timing is what's really funny to me, because we get this line, we have no reason to doubt it, we take it on faith, and then the very next piece of media that gets released is about saying how it isn't true. That's just kind of funny to me.
All it does is just makes it to where we know that Egalt and Rontu aren't like infallible, and they
Yeah.
can be wrong.
It reminds me of the conversation I was having when I got really mad at like Crystallized and like Lloyd talking about like Ronan, because like we're
Yes.
given no reason to like doubt what Lloyd's saying is true, even though we know it isn't true.
Yeah,
It's like, I don't know, just one of those things. Also, I don't want to remember that. I just kind of recalled that example and then got mad again. Let's not talk about that anymore. It's been long enough. Shatter Spin. I want to know more about the Wolf clan.
yeah, me too. I hope they will explain who the I don't know if they'll explain who the Wolf Mask guys we saw in Dragon's Rising Season 2 are gonna be, but just like in general, how the Wolf Mask work, where they come from, what's the deal with them, all that. Please give us answers.
Are we gonna see the gong of shattering again? Like, is it gonna play an
Probably.
important part? I guess. Also, the scorpion in the cover is the Scorpion Legend Beast. Absolutely. This is the
Okay.
wildness after all.
This Scorpion.
Or Legend Beast, sorry. Yeah, that's what I meant. But did I
This
say
Scorpion. You did say that.
that? Okay, cool.
Its face looks very familiar to me.
It's Skull Scorpion. No.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it's a coincidence,
Yeah.
but there was a Bionicle mask that never got released because
It
the
kinda
theme got
looks similar.
canceled before it could get released, and it is a dead ringer for that
It
face.
gives-
Welcome back, Bionicle.
It gives off really heavy Zelda boss energy. So
Yeah.
like
That's
the
actually so real.
big eye in the middle.
Yeah. Garmon's gotta stab it right in the eye. That's the weak point.
3 times,
It
yeah.
looks-
What do you guys think
it's-
about like the overall setup of Chen sending him there?
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
And
question
also-
why-
Also,
What would
also a little like a little conspiracy board thing. If the big purple anaconda is from the wildness as shown in the Wildfire shorts, and Garmon is going to the wildness, and Chen knows about the wildness, which means that the anaconda from Tournament of Elements could have been from the wildness.
I mean that's a long thing Tommy said a long time ago, that the Serpentine might have been from Chima, like he at least teased it. So would
Forgot
be
about
cool if they stick to that.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying like that's like more
Yeah,
That's
more
like-
evidence.
Can we get
more-
like
more
a
conspiracy
Pythor book?
evidence.
Can we get a
Pythor
Pythor
book?
comic?
There is a
Please.
canon Pythor book. Pythor's
there is.
Can we get like
Revenge.
a Pythor comic that explains the history of the Serpentine?
just shows him
Oh,
eating
please.
all the other anaconda.
Yeah. I need to see his life all the way up until that moment. I need to understand. I need that context.
There's also
Oh, yeah,
one
that-
preview page that kind of shows him like interacting, Garmadon interacting with Wu a bit, and I think that was pretty cute.
Yeah.
I think
No,
he's
they-
trying
they
to sneak
nail-
away, I assume, or I'm not sure.
They nail the character writing in
Yeah,
these comics. So
I mean it's
I'm
yeah.
happy.
I mean Garmadon was
they-
already so good, and I love the Serpentine War setting, so I
Mhm.
hope I have
Yeah.
high hopes for this, and
I-
then with it tying to Dragon's Rising Season 2 as well, really excited.
I mean, I can't imagine writing a character as like complicated as Garmadon. I mean, well, I kind of can considering the crystallized read I've been working on, but like going back to these different, like jumping different like time periods of Garmadon's life,
Yeah.
going from post Oni trilogy Garmadon to like Serpentine War Garmadon, and still managing to like kind of get it right. Like that must be tough. I feel like it's like Garmadon in general to me is just such a complicated character because he has so many different variations and versions throughout the years. So it's interesting. I'll be interested to see.
What I am a little bit worried about is the possibility of them like making Shatter Spin an important part in his turn to being evil. I think that could be done well or not well. I think
the thing with that for me is
idea, but it might seem a bit odd.
There are so many implied ways of how Garmadon turned evil. Because in the beginning it was simple. It was like, oh, it was the venom from the Great Devourer. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But since then, it's like all these different things. You could like, okay, maybe it's him being an Oni or like
it's
part
venom,
Oni. Or
but
maybe
it took some time, and he's part
venom,
Oni, and the venom is the
like,
Overlord.
Because,
At this point,
the Overlord's.
I feel like it's become so diluted at this point already. I don't genuinely think one more reason would really hurt it all that much.
Probably not.
That might just be me.
Because we don't know his tipping point. Okay, the thing for me is we don't know his tipping point into. I could be mistaken. I could be forgetting, but I don't think we know his tipping point until like when he truly like tried to like steal the weapons.
The battle between brothers. Yeah, we don't really know.
And that would be an interesting thing to figure out. But this is also quite a bit before that still, so I don't know if we'll get that answer.
Maybe we'll get there one day.
One day maybe, but like it's just weird. It's like how many parts of this change do we have to witness over time?
Yeah. Well, you also gotta just think about like how many years it took.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, like stuff happens.
From like the Spinjitzu Brothers books.
I'd love to know like what was the snapping point if there was.
I've always had a theory that I like, that it was the birth of Lloyd.
Yeah, I always thought
the final
too.
tipping point. The fact that maybe his like elements of power, I guess, was the only thing that was keeping him from turning, and like that somehow transferring to Lloyd was the tipping point.
Yeah, for me, or it's like the birth of Lloyd set the prophecy in motion, basically.
Yeah.
Also, do we? Because my Ninjago lore is a bit rusty as usual. Is this like before he met Misako or before he sent the letter, or is this like after it? Because I remember there was one point.
We don't know when in the Serpentine War, but he sent the letter, he forged the letter during the Serpentine War, right?
Because I know he went away from Chen.
This would have been post letter because Chen was with them with the letter, right?
But didn't he leave after that though?
No, but he left after that. I think so. It would be
that's what I was thinking.
I assume.
So I was thinking pre-letter because he does seem to still be like under Chen.
Yeah.
This seems to me like their last meeting, but maybe I'm just reading too much into it.
I don't know.
I mean, he's definitely coming back.
I don't. Yeah, because I got the vibe when I read it that it was like he's going on a journey by himself. But then
is he calling him Lord already? That's also a way you can determine it.
He's saying Master Chen.
Yeah, but like to Garmadon, because Chen gives him the Lord title after beating Klaus.
Oh, that's true.
But yeah,
I don't know. I feel like Chen even says like it's a parting gift. I don't know.
That is
maybe,
true. I don't like. Is this the moment
shattering
that he
his soul makes him do the letter thing?
Maybe
I don't know. Okay, well, maybe we'll get more context when it's out, but
who knows? There's a lot of lore. Gotta all get balanced.
I can never keep up. I try my best. The lore is not my strong suit.
That's all right. That's why we got Josh and Skoda, and then I'm here just to nitpick plot details. Let's go! No, I'm excited. I think it's gonna be a fun time. I'm excited for Shatter Spin. I'm excited for Wildfire story, and I'm excited for Dragon's Rising Season 2 Part 2.
Yes.
2024.
I cannot wait to get a trailer for that. Please.
So far, 2024 has been really good for Ninjago. Like we had 3 set waves
Oh,
this
yeah.
year. The first 10 episodes were great. We had good marketing, good release schedule overall. Now this Wildfire thing and a comic series. We're living good.
Didn't like Markets come out this year too, or was that last year?
Markets was last year.
Yeah, Marcus was last year.
Gotcha.
But we have the Tournament Temple City, which is a D2C set.
True. I got to see that in person at a Lego store like
Nice.
2 weeks ago. It's pretty cool.
I've already pre-ordered the Cold Titan mech.
Nice.
Nice. Speaking of markets, we have a little bit of news left, Meso.
May as well.
Yep. We got today in LEGO Insiders Rewards Micro Ninjago City Markets and Micro Ninjago City Gardens. These are once again LEGO Insiders Rewards, 2,300 Insiders points each, if you want to get those.
They're so tiny.
Yeah. And those are the last 2. Kind of weird that they released both of them on the same day.
I'm holding out for Micro Tournament Temple City.
Or they should do a Micro Temple of Ejitsu.
Oh, that'd be so cool. They kind of did that.
They kind of did that, yeah. But it's very micro.
Maybe it's just made.
They actually did it twice.
They need to put a micro, like an extra micro tournament or Temple of Ninjutsu inside of the micro gardens.
Yes.
Wow.
Maybe it's just a meme. I really don't like the mini markets. I think it looks bad because it's so. The set is already so colorful, and it has a lot going on. But I feel like when it's bigger, it's able to kind of separate into more like distinct blocks. It looks a bit like cleaner. This looks very messy and very all over the place.
My very specific nitpick with this one is that they have the lightsaber hilt on like the gondola thing, so you can't move it up and down. Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
I mean, these
yeah,
all kinda...
it does look like the
messy.
set though. It's a bit messy, but I think it will look good with the others probably, like in between of them.
Yeah, probably.
I feel like these are all equally impressive to me.
I think they all look good, but they're not worth the way to get them.
Yeah, I ordered the
none of these.
pieces
None of these
for-
are must-haves for me.
I just ordered the pieces for the first 2.
Yeah, I'll make that.
They're not that
Good idea.
crazy to get on Bricklink, believe it or not.
Really? Okay,
You get 'em,
that's good.
Really?
I mean, crazy might be subjective.
The only time
I
I
don't know how
saw it was on Mercari, and it was like $50.
I
mean, that's Mercari.
They're on Bricklink for like 30.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't suppose there's a picture with them all connected, is there?
No, I don't think so. Because these
yeah,
two
I'd be
were just
interested to
revealed
see-
today. Yeah.
Once they're out, I'd be interested to see how they look together because I feel like seeing them like that, maybe I'd be more willing to try and make them myself. But as of now, I'm not really interested in any of them.
Something fun I noticed in the Tournament Temple City review is they have these little printed trophy figures of the ninja in that set. Like they have Kai and they have Jay and Cole in markets. And they're kind of like a pretty good scale for these Micro Ninjago City sets.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We got a super chat from Monner, $5. And
Thank you, Monner.
the movie offered a good explanation for it if you put with show context. Misako taking Lloyd away because of prophecy stuff was the final straw for him. Yeah, that could be true. That Misako found out about the prophecy, took away Lloyd, and that made him go bananas and do the battle between brothers. I like that.
I actually really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Ninjago movie saving the day.
If I were to like re-implement any like Ninjago movie stuff into Ninjago canon, like the show canon, it would be that scene where like Masako just takes Lloyd and just like leaves. That's a really impactful moment. Even like outside the context, like even if you just put that in the context of the show.
Ninjago movie
That's a
stays
cool-
winning.
That's a cool connection. That will be my current headcanon now. Thank you.
I for
I
one
agree.
think the giant cat should come back. That's what I
Yes,
want to
I
see.
think
I
one
mean,
of the
Ross-
two things that you can implement into the canon.
They
No, I
should
know,
put
we
it
need
in the
to get
wildness.
Zayn,
And the giant cat.
We need Zayn's martial arts montage.
Can Lloyd have a
No.
vision of the giant cat?
That would be
And
so
then
funny.
it just never gets explained.
That would be very
It's the
funny.
Tiger Legend Beast.
Like it just
Potential
appears.
features, bruh.
It appears for like half a second in one of his visions, and we just never get anything explaining it. It's just there to troll us.
That would be peak.
That'd be
Peak.
pretty funny in my
It's the
opinion.
source cat of Meow.
Meowshin.
Meow.
Enough shenanigans. I think it might be about time we look to wrapping up. Unless we have more to discuss.
No,
What do you guys think?
I think that's it for the
Lego
news
release a
today.
Dragon's Rising Part 2 trailer tomorrow,
Yeah,
please.
could be about
Thank
that
you.
time soon that we get a trailer maybe.
That'd be cool.
I mean, the
None.
sets come out in August in the US, right? So I assume it might be a bit
Yeah.
later than maybe. Dragon's Rising Season 1 was in September, right?
Yeah, that's what my money is.
Season Part 2? Yeah, I think
Yeah, Part 2 Season 1. So it could be September again.
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
would
It's just
make the
weird
most-
because we got Part 1 like earlier than last year. So I was
Yeah.
like, I was like, are they gonna do it earlier than for Part 2, or are they just gonna
We
wait
did.
it out?
I don't have the images for it prepared, but we did get some teasers for Season 2. Like there's some pictures and the trading cards.
Yeah, the cards.
One particular picture.
Which one?
The Lloyd energy
Oh
allegation.
yeah, I mean
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
that's just
They're adding
promotional
up.
material.
They're
They've
adding
been
up.
calling it energy and promotional material for years.
I think it's energy. I think they're gonna confirm it this
But
season.
why would they call the Source Dragon energy then?
I
That would
don't
be
know.
so
'cause
stupid.
It's Ninjago, and
Dude, I can't wait. I want.
don't
peak
ask me.
chaos.
I'm just making a prediction.
Like, I would have been fine with energy after Dragon's Rising Season 1, but then they had to name the Source Dragon energy.
Maybe there's some deeper meaning. I have no idea.
Maybe.
Life energy versus potential energy. I don't know. Versus
That Cinder
kinetic
card is so
energy.
funny.
Dude, I love Cinder.
We did get some of the screenshots, and there was some different elemental
That's
masters.
true, I forgot
One of
about
them
the
was like a
screenshots.
Skullkin, and one of them was a Cragling and stuff.
Yeah.
Can I pull
That's
these
real.
up?
Well, we don't know if they're elemental masters fully, do we?
Yeah, but they were in the
Like, they'll
tournament,
just be
so I kind of
spectators,
just
but
yeah, we might
Well,
not
maybe-
be. You're right.
We'll see. I think it would be cool if they were.
I would like a Skulkin elemental master. I don't know how that would
That'd be
work.
awesome.
Master
Since
of
they're-
Bones.
you know.
Master of Bones.
Since they're dead and all, but who knows?
That would imply that there's a regular person who's like the master of skin or something.
All right,
That's terrifying.
that is very terrifying. Thank you guys for watching NinjagoCast 83. Please leave your thoughts in the comments section below about Shatter Spin, but also the Wildfire show. Not show. Miniseries. Spin-off. Thingamajig. Leave your thoughts. I want to know what you think. I feel like it's surprisingly divisive. There's lots of shades of gray. Art style, canonicity, audience, release platforms. But, personally, I'm just glad Lego's trying new things.
Yeah.
Stagnation is death. But leave your thoughts in the comments section below. I would love to hear what you think. And we will be back probably to talk about the Wildfire stuff later this month.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Probably.
Yeah, that's all I got. Thank you guys very much for watching the NINJAGOcast episode 83. I am Sensei Meso.
I'm Sakota.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Bendo.
And we just got a super chat from World of Cars Entertainment for $1.99. Stalling the stream. Jokes on
Let's
you, World of
go.
Cars. I'm sure Sakota's already sending us out. But
No, I didn't yet. It's good.
Okay,
it's in
fine.
the stream, but now I can
Thank,
send it out.
thank you, World of Cars. But for now, the
Legend.
dojo is now closed. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Farewell, everybody.